Hello and welcome to 30 Days of Hoya. Today we take a look at hoyakerrii. This Hoya is a bit funky, I have to admit. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the growth of this plant, so I received it. I will tell you the story of how I received it, but this is the new growth, these two leaves and this, and it just looks like a weapon of some sort. I don't know. It's very strange. Tell me in the comments, what does this look like to you? Because I don't know, I find this very odd. Hoyakerrii is native to Southeast Asia, to places like Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand. This is the regular green version. There are several versions with hoyakerrii. There is a version with the splash that I love, but I don't have. There is a version with yellow margins. There is a version with the yellow middle line here. And there is a version that combines those features. There is, I think, yellow middle and then with a splash. And I'm not sure if those are all the versions, if I covered all of them. So this is just the regular green one. It's very dusty. I received this as a cutting in February, so those plants that you saw in 30 Days of Hoya, globulosa and kerrii, arrived to me. This one was in the worst condition of them all. The cutting was longer. It had one more node, or two more nodes even, but it started to rot. And most of the stem was yellow, so I kept cutting it to see if I can rescue some of it, and I ended up with these two leaves. I will attach a picture if I find it. The cut is impossibly close to the node. You will not see in this video, or maybe you will, the cut just ends there. I really thought this one was lost. It arrived very fast to me, but the way it was shipped, I guess, or the way it was packaged was enough for it to rot. And the temperatures were a bit lower. I do grow it in semi-hydroponics. You can see these are all the roots it got since February, or March even, because of course it didn't root right away. Most of the time it was just rotting in February. I placed it in semi-hydroponics, I believe it was in March. It did take off quite fast. I got these two leaves. They are a bit smaller than the previous ones. Older leaves are just huge, the size of my palm. And then we have the new vine that's very, very thick, very firm vine. Hoyakerrii is also one of those cooler growing Hoyas, so from 10 to 25 degrees of Celsius or from 50 to 80 degrees of Fahrenheit. I had this at around 23 to 25 degrees of Celsius, and it was fine. I didn't notice that it was bothered by those temperatures a lot, and it continued to grow well. I do hear that the kerrii is very sensitive to overwatering. I keep mine in semi-hydroponics, and the chances of rot are very low there. I water it every week. I make sure there is always water in the reservoir, so it can be wicked through leca. And it seems to love that. It's not bothered by it at all. In this case, I don't have any algae that I can see. I don't see any fertilizer buildup. I'm not quite sure why, because this is grown under the same light like my Hoya potsi. That one has algae. I don't really know what the deal is with that. The reason I placed it in semi-hydroponics is because I really wanted it to develop a strong root system, and plants or cuttings seem to do that really fast in semi-hydroponics, and then they quickly take off. And of course, I really wanted to rescue this plant. As you can see, hoyakerrii has this heart-shaped leaf. Oftentimes you will just find one rooted leaf. There is a debate whether that can grow into a plant or not. I had my rooted leaf of kerrii that I will not show you now for more than a year, or for around a year, I would say. It didn't do anything. But this one is 4 months old and it already pushed a new vine. So if you can get it with a node. I wouldn't really bother with a leaf. Some Hoyas are very slow to grow and you just don't want to start them from a leaf. So if you can, get the one with a node on it. It's mostly grown for the leaf. I hear that flowers make a lot of mess, that there is nectar and it's dripping and it makes a lot of mess. This one is very small, so it didn't flower. I'm not sure if I should hope for the flower or not. I mostly got it for the leaf. I think the leaf shape is very interesting. There are some similar Hoyas to this one that even have more beautiful leaves, like Hoya deikii or deikie. I would say it's a very resilient plant if you don't overwater it. I don't see it being bothered by lower humidity. Sometimes my humidity will drop below 50, very, very rarely. Maybe it will be for like one afternoon. Mostly it's over 50 and it's around 60. But I don't think you should have challenges with lower humidity. This just looks like a very tough, very resilient plant, except for the rotting part. So just make sure not to overwater it. I would say still check it every 10 days. Don't go for a month. If you don't water Hoyas for a long time, the roots will die back. And then even if you haven't watered it for a month, it will still rot. That's the issue with plants that don't like water. The way I handle plants that just don't tolerate so much water, put them in a mix that's more airy. If I grew this in a regular mix, I would maybe go full bark. I'm not sure if I would do that, depending on your conditions. In my humidity, I possibly would go full bark or just a very little amount of coco peat. Semi-hydro works if you are ready to deal with all the additional things that come with that, which is using rainwater all the time and making sure there are no algae or algae and no fertilizer buildup. This Hoya is becoming more available now, I think. Before you could only buy just rooted leaves. Now I see some small plants here and there online, of course. I don't see them in the garden center yet, but in some specialized orchid nurseries I can see this one being offered, even the variegated or albomarginated versions. I haven't seen the one with yellow middle line and with splash being offered, so I think you will have to get those from a collector. But I think green version for me is the most beautiful, and then the splash version. Those two are my favorites, and then the ones with yellow margins come in, I would say, second or third for me. Thank you for watching. This was Hoyakerrii, and I will see you in our next 30 Days of Hoya.